Okay. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Humanity Matters. It's a really cold day here in Pittsburgh. You know, I'm sitting here next to my lovely co-host Annette Mendel and my what do you call it, Mr. Companion here, Albert Torcaso, who I just learned something very interesting. This is Albert's 14th year, his 26 seasons of doing Humanity Matters. That's very applaudable, Al.
Well, thank you, Mike.
That's very applaudable, Al. And I got to bring attention to all the guys and gals that make this show happen. That you don't see. So we give all them guys a big, applaud, hands up. They're awesome kids. So anyhow, right now I think I'm going to turn everything over here to Mr. Albert Torcaso. And Happy New Year, Albert.
Happy New Year, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes I may sound like a preacher. Sometimes I may sound like an evangelist. Sometimes I may sound like Martin Luther King. Sometimes I may sound like John F. Kennedy or somebody else like that. And I don't do that to be offensive. I don't do that to mock. I do that because that is who I am. But I have to tell you, I'll tell you the truth. I don't know how to have fun. That's right, I said America and Pittsburgh Steelers fans, New England Patriots fans, Pittsburgh Penguins fans, Jacksonville Jaguars fans, Cincinnati Bengals fans, wherever you may be. I hope you see this episode. And Pittsburgh Steelers fans, if you love the Steelers, I want you to watch this episode. If you love being alive, I want you to watch this episode. And I promise you, I will offend you tonight. I will get you so mad at times you're going to want to say MF to me. Many Fritos. But I tell you why I do it. Your life matters over there at the South Side bars or Oakland or Wilkinsburg, if you see this on Verizon Fios channel 47, whether you live in Alaska or Miami, you matter. But the truth is, this government, you don't matter to that. You don't matter to them. So tonight, I want everybody watching to watch intently. I want everybody watching to think about taking some notes, whether you do it digitally or you actually use something called paper. Because I'm going to tell you what's really going down. But let me get back to, I said I don't know how to have fun. Well, let me explain that. Sunday night / Monday was New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. And I was watching the TV shows and people watching the ball and listening about first night. And we'll get to that call in a minute. Listening about first night. And I was watching people getting drunk, smiling, having happiness. And I said to Annette, don't worry, caller, call back later. I said to Annette, I said, maybe there's something wrong with me. I can't laugh. I can't say Happy New Year. I can't really say Happy New Year because I know the truth. I said, but why can't I have fun? Why can't I be like those people on TV, all kind of oblivious or head in the sand? And Annette said something to me. You don't want your head in the sand. I said, yeah, but I'd like to have fun. I'd like to be kind of goofy going, Happy New Year, and all that goofy stuff. No offense to people that's doing that, but I guess my brain will not let me forget the realities of what transpired on January the 1st, yesterday. I guess my brain won't let me believe in the illusion. I used to believe in the illusion. I used to believe the illusion of Independence Day and July the 4th. I used to believe in the illusion that all men and women were created equal. The illusion that the American dream existed. The illusion that we had freedom. The illusion of this, the illusion of that. I used to believe it. But then I started seeing the realities. Now, I know that some of you that may be tuning in now, may be getting ready to tune out, thinking, man, this is the second day of the year and he's already tearing a new one. Well, let me ask you this question. Do you think that maybe your life matters? Do you want to die? I don't want you to die. But our government, our corporations, our universities, you die? No big deal. To me, I don't want you to die. I don't want Mike to die. I don't want to die. I don't want Annette to die. I don't want the caller over there in the South Side hanging and saying, this guy's a crazy mother Frito. Don't want you to die. The most conservative Republicans don't want you to die. Most liberal Democrat don't want you to die. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do tonight. And why you need to watch the entire episode, even though I may go off on a tangent. You need to watch this episode and take some notes. Take some notes. Because I'm going to give you the most powerful weapon on the face of the earth is coming to you tonight. And guess what? You already have it in your pocket or in your purse or in wherever it is. You got it. But you haven't used it to kick some grass. Yeah, I'm keeping it clean. We know what that rhymes with. It's time to kick that grass. And there are consequences, my friend. And I didn't come here to just be sweet and kind. I didn't come here to just do the ventriloquism. I didn't come here to just do the Jerry Springer type thing that I did about a year or so ago. I didn't come here for musicians. I didn't come here for politicians. I came here and I'm still here because humanity really does matter.
Nice, Al.
It really matters. Now, it don't matter to DC. It don't matter to your corporations. But it matters to me. Yes, the tie's a little bit crooked. Maybe it's well, I almost did a joke there, but I won't. I almost said something. We all know what I probably almost said, but I didn't say it, so I won't say it. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, if you tune in thinking, what the bloody heck is Al going to do next? You're never going to know. If you think you know me, every time you think you know me, I change the game. But let me say this. I'm giving you a weapon tonight that you already have. But I'm going to ask you to not use the weapon. And by not using the weapon, you will change the United States of America. By not using the weapon as much, you will change the face of this earth. By not using the weapon, you will take down Donald Trump legally, peacefully, and ethically. By not using the weapon, you will take down every Democrat in Congress that ain't doing right. You will take down every Republican in Congress, every multinational corporation that has been abusing this world. By not using this weapon, you will have them cower. Oh, you don't know how powerful you are. But tonight, those of you brave enough to listen up and listen in and take the action, you will become one of the most powerful human beings on the face of this earth. And if you think I'm hyping it up, brothers and sisters, I haven't even begun. Now, let me tell you something. We have got to change right now. And if we do not change, we are going to have widespread hatred, even worse than we have now. White people are going to blame black people. Black people are going to blame white people. Black people are going to blame somebody White people are going to blame, Asians are going to blame this, and Hispanics and Muslims. And we won't have a United States, not really. Oh, maybe physically. But if we don't do this, millions of people are going to die. So for me, it's not a happy new year. Oh, yeah, I'm glad I made it to this year. I think it's going to be one of the happiest years I've ever had if things start to change. And I'm dang sure, and I said dang sure, going to do something to fight. Now, I don't know about you, but if you're happy with your life, get off the drugs and alcohol. If you're happy with what's going on, working slaves and servants jobs, working 2 or 3 jobs, getting next to nothing and going to get less because of actions in Congress, if you're happy with that, well then maybe you should turn off the show. But if you want something better for yourself, if you want to learn how to become a multimillionaire or have power, I suggest you tune in. No, I'm not going to give you some get-rich-quick ideas. I'm not necessarily going to go on that topic tonight. But I'm going to give you the power that Diane Torcaso has, that Patricia has, the power that every human being in America has, the power that we use too much, and as a result, receive too less. I could wait all day until the end here, but I'm a kind-hearted man. That power is money. The most powerful thing you have. It's not your phone, not even in this case your brain, not your determination, none of that. You see, their money, their God is money. Money is their God. So if money is their God, we shall take away their money. I've said this before.
Amen.
I've said this before, and most people come up with excuses. Well, I can't do this. I can't afford that. You can afford you cannot afford not to do it now. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the bad news. But then I'm going to give you something that if you will listen, spread the word, make it go viral, change the actual foundation, and let us have a revolution in America. Let it be legal, ethical. Let it be legal, but most importantly, let it be financial. And you're doing it right now, friends. You're using your power right now. Anybody in a bar, you're using your power. Anybody in a restaurant, you're using your power. Anybody paying a utility bill, you're using your power. The money is the power. And the money can destroy anyone in government, legally and ethically, that's doing wrong. If Walmart doesn't do right, and Americans dramatically shop less or avoid Walmart, then Walmart is gone. But America, instead of just listening to me, let me give you some facts. There's a little history that went by. A massive thing happened in the 60s, the Civil Rights Movement. And there was a great orator named Martin Luther King, a very brave woman named Rosa Parks who frankly just got tired and wasn't going to take it anymore. The marches helped to change America, the speeches and the March on Washington. But what is the main thing, one of the main components that finally got the real change? It wasn't just the marches. It wasn't the letter writing. It wasn't even Dr. Martin Luther King's great speeches. Of course, they had a huge, huge impact. But let us look at history. And let us remember the principal reason was the bus strike. African Americans, black Americans, colored Americans back in the day, stupid ways of speaking about our fellow human beings, but we like to some reason categorize everybody, which I think is a bunch of brown soup or blue soup. In other words, BS.
And we're going back to them days.
But here's the thing, friends. No, we're not going back. We're not going to let us go back.
Nice.
They took the money away by boycotting the buses and other things. When they took their money away, the changes had to be made. Take their money away and the changes get made. Do protesting, do voting, calling, having great speeches may very well help, and they are needed. They are a component that we must do. But the act of taking away their money, taking away their money changes everything. Perfect example. Most people in Pittsburgh like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Most people at a Steeler game probably spend, I don't know, a couple hundred, maybe $1,000. I don't really know because I haven't been to a game, but at least probably a couple $100. What if suddenly you cut back on the Steelers and instead of going to the game, you decide to stay home? Or maybe sell your tickets and take that money and lock it away. Let me tell you, if enough Pittsburgh Steelers fans did that, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the NFL suddenly would be doing dramatic reductions on prices. Why? You're taking away their money. Now, let's say you go to a McDonald's. Let's say every month you put out $35. Let's just say $35. I know most people don't, but let's just say $35. What if suddenly you cut that down to $15 and enough people do that? Suddenly McDonald's loses lots of money. Same thing with our wireless devices. Instead of buying the iPhone brand new, you wait until you can get it secondhand or used or pre-owned. Instead of putting out $1,000, you put out $500. That's $500 that you took out of there. Instead of going to your favorite restaurant, the opera, the concert, going to see Beyonce, you decide not to go and you listen to her videos. You're taking away money from Beyonce, from corporations. Now, the people that I mentioned, the businesses I mentioned, I don't have anything against them in theory, but I'm using this as a demonstration to each and every one of you. You have the power. Now, I have a proposal for our good friend Carl, a proposal for my co-host Mike and Annette. Every pay period, fight like crazy to reduce your spending by $50. I know it's going to be hard. You're going to have to sacrifice. Maybe you won't get as much food or the high-priced food. Maybe you won't get that extra guitar pick or, I don't know, music or whatever it is that you are. And you do a massive reduction. I want you to take that money, that $50 a week, and put it in your lock boxes at your home or your business. I want you to put it in lock boxes or safes, not in any federal credit union, not the banks. Lock it up. And I want you to do that every pay period and try to save $2,400 or more a year. And then I want you to spread the word. Because if we can get 1 million Americans taking out $50 a week, Donald Trump and every Republican in D.C. will change the new tax law like that. The things that are permanent, suddenly, they'll be like, well, maybe it ain't so permanent. Because let me tell you something. Every Republican in Congress that signed that is an abomination. They, as far as I'm concerned, took a stand and said they are against God. Oh, I know they claim they have the moral high ground. But I say to you, what they have done is against God and is in fact evil. Now hold the phone, ladies and gentlemen. Democrats need to be voted in for the next 10 election cycles. We need to throw them in there in 2018, 2020, 2022, 2024, and keep going maybe for 100 years until we have almost no Republicans in there. But hold the phone. Because the Democrats are just as guilty.
Nice, Al.
Let me throw it down for you, ladies and gentlemen. The Democrats are the lesser of two evils. But if we do not bring Democrats back into the fray with these permanent tax cuts and these expiring tax cuts that this Congress and that guy in the White House decided to do, well, here's what you have to look forward to, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, New York Giants fans, New York Jets, Cleveland Browns. I had to do that. You have to look forward to much higher inflation, less jobs, and losses of pay. Seniors have to look forward to a dramatic reduction in Medicare and possibly dying sooner than they normally would. People that are disabled and seniors have to look forward to a reduction in Social Security, and a reduction in SSI, a reduction in SSDI. And we as a nation have to look forward to a massive increase in poverty, depression, suicide, homelessness, and hunger. And that was because of these tax cuts. There are consequences, my friends. Now, I notice no one's calling in. I don't care. If you can't handle the truth, like the movie A Few Good Men, that's on you. These bad things are going to come to pass unless we bring balance back. Like even in Star Wars. You remember The Last Jedi just came out? In Star Wars, there is a light side and there is a dark side. We need the Democrats to act as the light side. But make no mistake, the Democrats, when they have power, we must keep them, hold them accountable. We must keep them in line. Personally, I don't like the Democrats that much. No more than I like the Republicans. I would like to have multiple parties, 4 different political parties, to keep balance so that we could not have ultra-conservatism or ultra-liberalism, so that we could not have a monopoly by 2 parties. Because as we have over the last 100 years, we have seen a destruction of the middle class and the poor getting it worse. We have seen inflation go up, corporations and CEOs and ultra-rich getting millions and even billions and then eventually trillions of dollars more, while the majority of Americans, their wages are stagnant or gone. We have seen poverty and an oligarchy take hold. But what we have not seen is any leaders come forward and tell the truth that we have the power to change this government legally, ethically, and peacefully, without one protest, without one boycott, without one work stoppage, without one sit down or stand in. We do it. We do it. Eventually I'll find it. Well, maybe not. Where'd it go? We do it with this. Our weapon is a United States currency. This here is a $5 bill. This here has a picture of a good president. He wasn't perfect. He did a lot of things wrong. But his name was Abraham Lincoln. He happened to be a Republican. What this government has done and this Republican Party has done probably has Abraham Lincoln turning in his grave. They are an abomination and an embarrassment. Let me keep this $5 bill out for a minute. This here is more powerful than every nuclear bomb on the face of the earth. This is more powerful than your cell phone. This is equal to your brain. This is what can take down Donald Trump legally and peacefully. Take down the Democratic Party when they do wrong, or the Republican Party, or the Yahoo Party. This, when we do this, and we lock it up, and we take it out of the economy, changes everything. Everything. Not only can us taking money out of the economy change our government, it can get you an increase in pay at McDonald's. It can get you an increase in pay at Walmart. It can get you an increase in pay at Apple. It can get you an increase in pay at U.S. Steel. It can get you an increase in pay at Hyundai. It can get you an increase in pay in every city on the planet, every corporation on the planet. Because when you don't use it and you reduce it, it affects businesses. It affects corporations. It affects construction. It affects everything. So I say to my Steelers fans, my Seattle Seahawks fans, to my NFL or college football, baseball, hockey fans, people over there hanging out in Oakland or Bloomfield, my Italian family, I say it's time to take a stand. There'll be consequences, Democrats and Republicans. There'll be consequences. Now, you better be glad that no one's watching, Congress. But one day soon, they will. One day soon, something I say is going viral. What you gonna do? Like Hulk Hogan said, what you gonna do when it comes down on you? Instead of the 24-inch pythons, the reality of the truth. That's right, America. You can take that money out of their power. Lock it up. I know you're going to suffer. But do you want zero? Do you always want to be broke? Being broke ain't no joke. Well, that's what I have to say right now. There's consequences, Congress. But I want to throw down a little something before I go to Mike and before I go to Annette. This tax law is such an abomination. It is going to cost human lives. It is going to take away money for health care. It's going to take away money for Social Security. It's going to hurt the middle class, the poor, the seniors, and the disabled. And on a permanent basis. But that's not the worst of it. This tax law has penalties, and you cannot get as many deductions, if any, for donating to charity. That's right. So when the government, I'll be there in a minute, caller, when the government decides to take away Medicare, food stamps, when they decide to deal with Social Security and Medicaid, and there's even more people that are starving and hungry and need access for clothing, and they go to the Salvation Army, they go to the Red Cross, they go to St. Jude, they go to Muscular Dystrophy, wherever, or they want to donate to help PCTV, our station, another nonprofit, guess what? Their deductions aren't going to matter for the most part. That means that most Americans are going to dramatically reduce or eliminate their donations to charity. So this tax law is a double whammy. But let me tell you before I get to that call, what is the end game of those people in Congress and the corporations? The end game is to enslave all of you. Every Republican to be enslaved. Every Democrat and independent, socialist, libertarian, doesn't matter. They don't give a rat's ear about you. They don't. You have been deluded if you believe that they do. So yeah, on New Year's, I wanted to go, Happy New Year! And act goofy. But I know your life and my life is at risk here. So if I have to be a mofo, a Manny-Frito, I'll be it. Because I know what's going on. But with that, let's get this call, and then we're going to have Mike read something from our good friend Carl. And then we're going to let you know that the Democrats, that everybody thinks the Democrats are all that and 10 bags of chips, right? It was the Democrats that did something in the 80s, that allowed something to go down in the 80s, that put Americans over $1 trillion in debt. That's right. They conspired. They conspired. That's right. So as I said, the Democrats are evil, or evil light, and the Republicans, well, let's just say they're evil extra heavy. But actually, I'm not so sure there's that much of a differentiation. But with that, caller, I don't know who you are, or what you're going to say, but I'm fired up and ready to go. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, this is Nora Parker Carter from PCTV.
How you doing, Nora?
Hi, community activist.
How you doing, Nora?
I'm doing fine now that I hear your wonderful voice. I'm so proud of you, Al. I'm so proud of you and your sisters and Annette for all the work that you do year-round.
Happy New Year, Nora.
Nora, I want you to do me a favor. Nora, I want you to do me a big favor. It's going to be hard. I want you to start spending $50 less every time you get paid and lock it up for a whole year every time. I know it's going to be hard. Alan's not going to be too pleased, but that's the only way we can make these changes, because what happened in D.C. is a crime. And so, Nora, I'm asking you, as hard as it is, to go back in the olden days, find a log box, hide it somewhere, and just take that money out of the economy. Because once we do that, I promise you, there will not be a politician on the face of the earth that won't be scared out of their ears. And I'm being polite. But with that,
well,
I would like to hear.
I'll tell you something, Al.
Go ahead.
You know, I do not work anymore. I'm on Medicare. I'm on Social Security, and I'm thankful I was allowed to live to be 75 to see my money returned to me.
Hey, go ahead, Nora. 75 in the house. No, wait a minute. You ain't there yet. I thought you were in your 60s.
Yeah, so I got $20 raise. I come tomorrow on the 3rd. They've given me $20, which I'm supposed to be grateful for. So I am grateful to receive anything that I didn't have the day before.
I agree, but we have to start locking that money up in order to let them know what time it is.
Well, I'll save the $20 if that'll make you happy.
Every single month, save the $20. Every month.
Oh, Okay.
Lock it up.
I also wanted to say to you, because very few people know this, but my mother always told me that when it comes to our Democrats, we have just as much money as Republicans. You just don't know it. But she never was worried about us being the poor part of the party. She just knew that we took our money and we spread it out more than the Republicans, and they held on to theirs better than we did. But we are the ones who do care and give to everyone. So until my mother became too old to see to write her checks, I found out every year at this time, she wrote all her taxes out, everything she needed for the month of January for the rest of the year. So she knew how to save and give till she didn't have to worry about what was going to happen to her. So I just want to let you know, older people are always been the smarter ones. They wanted to teach us if we wanted to learn.
Well, I agree that there's a lot of very smart older adults. One thing I want to say, though, here's the thing, Nora. This legislation is going to hurt the nonprofits and all the charities. And I believe that it is evil. I believe there is a such thing as evil. And I have to say that, you know, I can't give a pass to either party, but here's the thing. At this point, we can't worry about what they've done. We have to lock our money away, and I'm serious. Lock that $20 up every month and just take it out of the economy. If we will do that, I promise you, like I said, with the civil rights movement, all those elements were incredibly important. Dr. King, Rosa Parks, every march, every writing, and facing death and everything, critically important. But one of the biggest things was not using the buses. That took money, that hurt them in their keister. And we need to stand as a country and start slapping the faces, without physically, but legally and financially, punch them right in the face. Knock them out like Mike Tyson. Knock them out like Muhammad Ali. Knock them out like Floyd Money Mayweather. Just whoop them down. Knock them out.
I want to tell you something about Dr. King, because I was in Chicago when he was assassinated, which broke my heart. He only had $5,000 in his bank account, in his checking account. So that was very little, and very few people knew that when Mrs. King asked for help, she called on Reverend Jesse Jackson in Chicago, who was in Operation Breadbasket. So the Saturday morning came, and he got up and he told everybody, Mrs. King needs help, and I want you to write checks to her or write checks to FDLC and write checks to whoever you want. From now on, I want checks to come for Mrs. King. And so that day, she received $15,000 worth of checks to her. And from then on, she won it for nothing. But no one knows that story. But I want to tell it because I was there when he did this. And that's when he got chastised for doing it, and Abernathy wanted to fire him because he wanted to see that Dr. King's wife and children never wanted for nothing. So I give this to you because Dr. King's birthday is coming up on the 20th, and I want to thank Brother Reverend Jesse because I was there when he did it and chastised for it. So we have to learn to love one another and care for one another.
That's right.
Because if we don't, life is just not worth living. And so I want to thank you, Al, who always took me someplace to eat. And, of course, we loved our McDonald's because it was inexpensive and we were filled when we left it. So, you know, I thank McDonald's for filling us up every time you wanted to take me and Ellen out. And Annette also. So, and Diane, it was wonderful that we had McDonald's in our lives and in the city of Pittsburgh.
We can still go places. Just give us a call on the phone.
Okay.
But before
thank you again.
But before you go, just keep one thing in mind, Nora. Sometimes I'm going to say something that even offends you. I promise you that. But I'm here to save lives. And if I wanted to come on and be a mouthpiece for the Democrats or the Republicans or anybody, I could do that. But I'm an Italian. I'm Sicilian. And baby, I'm nobody's mouthpiece.
But you are Al's mouthpiece.
I'm Al's mouthpiece. All right,
Al, you speak all the time, and Al, you matter.
well, thanks. Well,
Nice.
humanity matters.
Very nice, caller. Very nice.
That's true. Love you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nora.
Thank you.
You too, Nora.
Okay.
Well,
Bye-bye, honey.
thank you. Well, you know, I took a lot of time. I hope we get some more callers. But tonight, time for you to read something from our good friend Carl.
Okay.
And then right after that, I want you to turn it over to Annette, and she's going to read what went down in the 80s.
Okay.
And I am not pleased.
Okay.
But let's go from your good friend Carl.
Okay. So can I give a little
Yeah,
thing
give a
about
little
like
shout out.
okay, like this is written
Good
by
friend Carl C.
Yeah, our good friend Carl C wrote this. But before I say anything, I would like to say, you know, what pulled me away from the president sort of was when the Charlottesville incident took place, where you had the Ku Klux Klan on one side of the street protesting, and then you had demonstrators on the other side protesting. One of the men from the Klan member left this party, ended up killing a girl. And Donald Trump's the very next day, Donald Trump had the nerve to say that there were good people on both sides. He lost me forever. Forever did he lose me.
He never had me in the first place.
But anyhow, this was written by a real good friend of ours, you know, guy named Carl. So I'd like to share it. I'd like to share it with you.
And then we'll go to the call and then Annette.
Okay? Seriously, Pakistan, Israel, North Korea, Iran. Trump has shown absolutely zero ability in the realm of foreign affairs. Gutting the State Department isolates America more than 1,000-foot-high wall around the entire country.
That's right.
What he has shown is persistent ability to load guns and instigate bloodlust. How many more distractions do we need as Trump acts presidential with his big puppet mouth as we wait domestically 11 more months until the paltry hand-slapping begins by the spineless Democrats? We and the world seem to be stuck with the truculent bore who has no regard for much beyond vomiting all over America herself and history of previous accomplishments of our country through the people. He is burning it down, all of it, from international relations to civil rights, the rule of law, and the environment. He is the most un-American, unpatriotic, anti-intellectual, mentally unstable, corporate-owned puppet. Wow, misogynist, whatever. Misogynist ever to walk the face of the planet. We in turn find out just how impotent the rule of the law and the media is when it comes to barbarism.
Yep.
You can pray and hope as much as you like, it won't matter. He has the military so far up his behind, he can barely sit down. November is last call for the American dream. We need to be working every day to get voters out, educate the voters, and save our nation. We need to give him the bums rush out the door. We may never have this chance again. Good job, Carl.
Thank you, Carl C. Now, before we do that, there's a couple of things we want to do. We want to get this call. Annette, before you read that, I want you to give us the in memoriam. But before we even get the call, I just got to say one thing. John Bursick is in the studio! Go ahead, John! And now back to Annette.
Okay, these are the December deaths. We want to remember those who passed recently. Rosemarie, Clifford Irving, Keely Smith, Roberta Robinson, that's somebody that Elle's sister knew.
Right.
Sue Grafton, Heather Menzies, Dick Enberg, Keen Michael, and Christine Keeler.
And now would you be so kind as to get the call?
Caller, you're on. Caller?
Okay, it's
It's
this Diane. What do
Diane.
you want me to talk about tonight, Al?
You guys talk about whatever you want to talk about,
All
Diane.
right, Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's to all you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Here we go with that fake Happy New Year stuff.
But I will say, I have faith in the Lord and everything will be okay. Martin Luther King's birthday is on January 18th. And happy birthday to Nora. Is that her birthday today? Is that what she said?
I don't know, but just say happy birthday anyway.
I don't know if it was because I couldn't hear her too well.
That's okay.
Did she say happy birthday? But Al, I will put I'll put $20 away, and that's all I can afford.
Hey, whatever it is, every month, lock it up and don't use it.
I don't. What do you want me to put? Why do you want us to put $20 away for? Tell us that.
I want people to put 20, 50, or
And
more
stop
away.
yelling.
Because if we start spending less, we will get what we deserve in America.
Well, we can't spend
and
less.
we will actually change this planet. That's why I want you to lock it up. Lock that money away, whether it's $5, $20, $100. Lock it up every pay period. Can we say that together? Lock it
including
up.
Lock it
yourself?
up, Diane.
What, Diane?
Even including yourself?
Everybody. Everybody in America.
Even including Annette and Michael?
I said everybody in America. As a matter of fact, everybody on the planet.
Turn your TV down.
Oh, just wait a minute. I gotta get up.
It's not so funny. I'm sorry, everybody in America, but it's kind of funny when people forget to lower the voice. I mean, the TV. Because what it is, just for those of you who have never called in a show, it's called feedback. There's a delay.
Are you still there?
No, we
We're
went
still
south.
here.
Yeah, but I had to
Where
get
else
them
would
under
we be?
control.
Okay, well, Diane, what's your question?
I
Other than
don't
that.
know, but you're talking about politician stuff, but it will be fun because you have to have faith in the Lord.
Well, Diane, we're going to go ahead and...
I mean, if you don't have faith in the Lord, who else are you going to have faith with?
Well, Diane, I'll answer that question after you hang up. How about that?
Yeah, but other than that, it's still a good. It will be a great year because the next time you vote is May 15th. I don't know who's running for what, but we'll find out.
All right, Diane, we're going to go
I
ahead
think
and move
it's the
forward.
government.
All right, we're going to move forward, Diane. We're running out of
All
time.
right. You be careful out there if it's bad out there now. Drive carefully.
Okay, we're going to take that off the air.
Okay, bye.
We're done, John.
Later.
Oy, oy, oy. All right, now, Annette, you want to read that real quickly? Well, not real quickly, but we have like 10 minutes left.
Okay, everybody. These were the conditions under President Reagan back in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan.
For disclosure, who was in control of Congress at that time? What party, Annette?
The Democratic Party.
I rest my case. Go ahead.
Washington, April 2nd. By proposing sharp slashes in federal aid to education, President Reagan has run head-on into the collective wrath of what former Representative Edith Green once called the educational industrial complex. The phrase is her variation of the more familiar military-industrial complex, so often used to describe forces exerting heavy influence on federal spending patterns. Today, even more than 12 years ago, when the Oregon Democrat first coined her phrase in expressing concern over growth of federal involvement in the nation's schools and colleges, the educational lobby is a force to be reckoned with in the United States. It is a lobby composed of numerous education groups staffed with Washington representatives of state and local officials eager for federal funds to relieve their own tax burdens, of college and university presidents, of industries that produce educational materials, of labor and social welfare agencies pushing for heavy federal commitments to education, and unofficially as students and parents faced with the increasingly heavy burden of paying for a college education. It is against this formidable array that Mr. Reagan and his economic advisors will be pushing for budget reductions and new approaches for channeling federal funds to states, communities, students, and institutions of higher education.
Annette, instead of you reading all of that, let me just cut to the conclusion.
Well, I was a teenager in the 80s, and I was still in school, so I
Okay.
guess this affected me.
It has affected you. All right, the idea of her reading that, I want to demonstrate to my liberal and democratic friends, families, and foes. I speak that there is evil on both parties, and there is. The Democrats held both houses of Congress when the Reagan era happened. Instead of standing up to him and saying education is by far one of the most important benefits and needs of the masses of every American, they allowed him to do massive cuts. And it used to be that most Americans could afford to go to college, even go to get a master's degree. It was very low cost, and in some cases zero cost, even to go all the way up to a PhD. Well, the Democrats caved in, and the reductions have been happening ever since. And as a result, student loan debt is now over $1 trillion.
Wow.
What does all that really mean? Why should you not be rolling your eyes saying, what the heck is he telling me all this for? It comes down to this. Those of you in the bars, those of you who are college people paying $200,000, $300,000, $100,000, $400,000, whatever it is, anywhere from 50 to who knows, and possible lifetime debt.
It hasn't changed
It
today.
would not have happened had the Democrats not caved in. So when I say to you that the Democrats must win the next 5 or 6 election cycles, there's a caveat there. We must put them in there, but we must tell them that no longer will you lick the shoes of corporations. Will you lick the shoes of special interests? Will you lick the shoes of anybody? And I don't care if it's the Republicans in Congress or the Democrats in Congress. We must put our foot down, and we do it by putting that $20 a week or $20 a month away. We do it by leaving the bars. I know it may be hard, leaving and not necessarily buying video games. I like video games. Maybe if we buy a video game, we buy it at a discount. Maybe instead of shopping at the local Walmart or big box store, we go on an online company, like Amazon or something, even though they're not all that great, but we spend less money. We find a way to reduce our needs and get by. And in so doing, if you will spread the word instead of ignoring this show, what will you get? What is the end game, Albert? The end game is more money in the pockets of John Bursick, more money in the pockets of Mike McCutcheon, more money in the pockets of Annette Mendel, more money in the pockets of Albert Torcaso, more money in the pockets of John Jackson over there, and wherever you are, more money in the pockets of Doug Drew, more money in the pockets of everyone, more access to education, a reduction of the abomination of the tax cuts. Sure, there will be people who will see an increase in their income as a result of this tax cut, but it is a bait and switch. You will get a few more dollars or maybe many more, but the corporations will make billions and trillions more, and you will still see an inflation. If we had the tax cuts and then corporations also had to take a bulk of the hardships. Maybe, for example, a provision that said all oil companies and gasoline stations have to lower, across the board, everywhere in America, have to lower the cost of gasoline to $1. Then maybe it would have been doable. But what we have in America is a one-sided abomination. The rich have just gotten much more wealthy. The poor may not survive. And even if we do, you ultimately will lose your jobs. You ultimately will suffer more unless you take a stand, quit saying this guy, Albert, is full of 9 kinds of earwax, to put it polite, and put that money away and say, you know what? That's my money. And you know what? Maybe you downgrade your Verizon Wireless. Maybe you downgrade your Metro PCS. Maybe you downgrade your Comcast. Maybe you downgrade your one cell phone that's $300 with a 2-year plan to getting a $100 smartphone with a 0-year plan. Because when you take their money away, it slams the economy in the ears. If you don't believe me, you will soon. And you'll be praying that you listened. With that, I have about 2 more minutes. And with that, let me just say this. Their money is their God. So if money be their God, we shall take away their money. And I will leave you with this. I didn't bring Mike here. I didn't bring Annette here just for the fun of it. We're here because we care about your life and ours. With that, I'm done. Mike,
Okay,
but
well,
before, that's the way I see it. How do you like that?
nice. I have nothing but good things to say about Mr. Torcaso and his
You got about 30
his
seconds.
girlfriend here. But I just want to wish Pittsburgh a happy New Year. I hope everybody is out there happy and doing good things.
Say your quick goodbye, Annette.
Okay.
We do this show for you. I want you to always remember that, those of you that tune in. And I want to wish you a happy, blessed New Year. I hope everything goes good for you this New Year and better than all the years before if you had problems and troubles.
We gotta go.
Amen.
All right, remember everybody that you and humanity in all forms of life really does matter. Lock away that money.